Okay, I think we are live.
We are
Awesome.
live. Okay.
We are live. Great.
Good to know it. Good to know it.
Hit the music. So we're going to spend just a couple of minutes waiting for everybody to join. So have a sip of coffee. We have more people joining from Facebook, people joining from, when you see me look down here, I'm looking down at the chat, at the stream. So just, just so you're aware of where I'm looking. YouTube, and also from Instagram. So that's great. That's
Yay.
great. Let's make sure everything's good to go before we get into it. How are both of you today?
As good as you can be. As good as you can be. That's the thing that I used to say, and this is like the best you can achieve at this very moment. So,
Can I say that that's a very
unusual.
British answer?
Yeah.
A diplomatic answer,
Diplomatic
yeah,
answer.
yeah. I feel like I'm on the East Coast, and people are very expressive when they talk, and even if they're not having a good day, they'll say, "I'm doing great," no matter what. What about you, Hen? How was your weekend? I guess it's Wednesday, so we're a little far away from that.
Kind of. I mean, I've had the entire week off, so I'm kind of happy. Looking forward to the work I have next week, in a good way. I'm actually missing work, so yeah.
Great.
So
Hen,
this is
just
a beautiful example of someone missing work
Who's
and being
committed to
actually
work.
happy to start
I'm a
work after
workaholic.
holiday. Okay.
Bartek, I'm a workaholic. I have to admit it.
Those of you joining, just as a quick reminder, we're going to be starting in just a minute. So it's great to have all of you here. I see people joining from Facebook. I see people joining from YouTube. So if you'd like to, what you can do is in the chat, say where you're joining from, where you're watching from. And if you want to share where you are on your PTE journey, that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about today managing exam stress, because PTE is, well, it's a test. And so stress is part of that. We're going to be getting into it. It's going to be interesting. A lot of great tips and suggestions coming up. We're going to be talking about everything, and we will also be answering your questions. So put those in the chat as well. I see Luna here from Melbourne. I see, let's see, Emmanuel, it looks like. Is that Argentina, Emmanuel, where you're from? From Honduras. Excellent. We're just gonna give it another minute or so before we get into it. From Algeria, hello. Hello. One quick thing, Hen, I noticed that your audio is kind of peaking a little bit. Do you have a volume knob on your headset? Could you maybe bring it down a little bit, or maybe lower the headset a little bit, just because I'm hearing a little bit of harshness? Maybe just bring it down a bit so that it's not.
How
it's a little
about
loud.
now?
Yeah, I think that's better. I think that's
Okay.
better. Yeah. Can you give me a testing 1, 2, 3?
Test 1, 2, 3.
Okay. We're doing it live. That's the proof that this is live. That's proof. If you're wondering who everybody is, yes, Bartek, sorry, what?
You are already teaching for PT Academic. Like, make sure you have adjusted headset. So this is like a good piece of advice for any people around the world. Okay.
Yeah. It's, we do a lot of stuff over video. We record a lot of stuff. I believe everybody should have a nice mic in their house, ready to go at all times. Okay, we're gonna get started now. We have people joining from India, from Perth, Pakistan. Fantastic. And you see Pearson languages in the chat. So someone from Pearson will also be addressing things, and if you have any smaller questions, maybe they can answer that as well. But we will be answering your questions in today's session. We're going to have a dedicated Q&A section. So I think we can just get started. I think we can get right into it. All right. So, hello and welcome everyone to PTE Live. Yes, we are live. And that means that you can have your questions answered live with PTE experts. You saw them on screen just a moment ago. I will be introducing our expert panel in just a moment. My name is Luke. I've been teaching English for over 12 years. Jeez, 12 years. That's a long time. I will be your host for this episode of PTE Live called Do It Worry Free. We have some really amazing things planned today that you will not want to miss. It may even be, this is just a suggestion, but it may even be a good idea to take screenshots throughout. Actually, if you're on your phone, to take a screenshot, or if you're watching on a computer, take a picture of it with your phone, because we're going to be actually showing key takeaways, things to remember as we go along. And if you have PTE questions, drop those in the chat and let us know where you are on your PTE journey. Okay, before we get into our first topic, which we're about to do, I want to give, excuse me, I want to give a quick intro and an overview of what you can expect from today's session. PTE is the worry-free English test. And so first, we will be helping you prepare for your PTE journey in order to remove any stress. Then we're going to dive into specific question types for all 4 sections and focus on how to prepare for them. We'll be looking at specific question types. Next will be a Q&A for any in-depth PTE questions. And then we have some amazing resources to share with you, as well as a limited time offer. And finally, we'll be doing some key takeaways and then talk about what's coming up next. All right, so let's jump into managing stress on tests, specifically the PTE, excuse me. It's a common, normal feeling to be stressed for a test like the PTE. You may be thinking, my future goals partly depend on how well I do in my PTE academic test, and it stresses me out. So that's our first topic. Let me now introduce our panel of experts today. Hey, everybody. We're all moving. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm going to quickly introduce our panel. They're here to share their knowledge and expertise on how to manage PTE stress. And so first is Bartek Jeniak. Bartek has over a decade of experience in education, starting as an ELT representative and now as a teacher trainer and senior assessment advisor at Pearson. He's also interested in personal and professional development with a focus on coaching methods and the psychology of motivation. Bartek, hello.
Yeah. That's me. That's me.
And did I miss anything there? Anything important?
Probably important is the fact that for the last 3 or 4 years, I've been preparing educational programs for PTE assessment, specifically for the teachers and for the test takers, where we go through various trainings and processes on how to prepare effectively and how to do your best on a test. And yet another thing, which is, I believe this is the reason. My background, as you said, like is in the psychology of motivation and in crisis counseling as well. So I do have quite a lot in common with stress and stress management. So
yeah.
Hoping to share some thoughts with our audience.
That will come in handy, I think, today. We're going to get into it in just a second, but I want to also introduce Hend Faid. So Hend has over 10 years of experience in HR and marketing, and she is a native Arabic speaker who has actually been through the journey of learning English. And she has her MBA and has been with Pearson for over 2 years, focusing on supporting PTE test takers in Africa. Hen, have I got everything right there? Any other details or context?
Look, no, everything is there. And as
Wow.
I think confessed earlier, I'm a workaholic and I love PTE. PTE is my baby, honestly. And education is not boring. I have to really say this from someone who joined this industry very soon. So yeah, no, education is fun. Exams are fun. You just have to think about it from a different perspective.
That is a very interesting perspective. I think how to think that way will be something that perhaps we can focus on now. So we're gonna get into it. I just want to acknowledge that we have a lot more people joining live. Again, those just joining. If I look here, I'm looking at Bartek and Hen. If I look down here, I'm looking at the chat, just so you know where my eyeballs are pointing. We have people joining from Pakistan, all over the world. I see people joining from YouTube and Facebook. This is fantastic.
Now
right.
I'm stressed, Luke. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Well, by the end of this, we'll all know how to handle stress, and then I won't accidentally say PTA instead of PTE. We have to. I promise that was a goof. Probably
it happens. It happens.
It happens. I got to give myself a break. Self-forgiveness. Yeah. Forgiveness. That's the first tip. Okay, so I think that we should say that feeling overwhelmed or stressed about an upcoming test is normal. First, it's normal. You're normal if you feel that way. And also people do have this feeling of, yes, but it's scary because this is my future and it could affect my future. I'm studying abroad, right? So first question, what are the main causes of stress in this context? Maybe Bartek, you could give us a few points.
Okay. I appreciate that you said stress is normal and you should be okay with the thing that you are stressed. I would start to worry if you were overly relaxed and really easygoing about forthcoming exam. But coming back to your question, I think the first one we should start is that because of the high stake nature of the test, as you mentioned, this is something that hopefully will enable candidates to start their dream university, to move to a different country. And It comes with this weight of the big goal behind it. Yeah. So it's just not the test is not the goal, but there is something more behind it. Okay. So there is a future career, future development. So this causes this element of tension. And then there is more down to earth reason, which I'm going to be really honest, is some slight, I would say, problems with preparation. I mean, inappropriate preparation in a very general term. So basically, someone is doing it not in the best possible way because of the many reasons they can think of. And the way I'm saying it is because of the fact that we need to know, and the audience needs to know, the very basic definition of stress that the world of psychology confirms. The stress is when there is imbalance between the situation. What is the imbalance between the situation? What is the situation expecting from you? And what you can offer in this situation. So if you cannot offer the thing that the situation is expecting from you, so there is imbalance and you will be in stress.
So it's a feeling of kind of looking up at a thing. You're looking up at it and you don't feel equal to it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And since you cannot change the situation, so you cannot change the test, you cannot change the test center, but you can change your own assets, your own things that you have. And this is the true way to reduce stress and to become on the level with the situation and the things you can offer.
So we'll get it more into, I think, some of the practical ways to deal with this. I want to really try to focus on the causes, right? What are the things that make it happen? And you gave some really great reasons. Maybe great is the wrong word.
Yeah.
Accurate reasons that make perfect sense to me when I think about my life and times that I have felt stressed. Is there anything else? Maybe Hend, is there something that we could add to that for reasons? I know you talk with a lot of people who are actually taking the test, and so you have some firsthand experience, right? Is there anything that maybe lines up with what Bartek said that you could share or talk about in regards to the reasons that people feel this way?
Sure, look, so I honestly have to agree with Bartek. Honestly, preparation is a very big part of why people feel stressed. They don't know how to prepare, they don't even know how to start. And this actually causes confusion for them because ultimately they need to know what is the process, how to do it. This will definitely relieve some of the stress. So, preparation is a very big part of it. But initially speaking, I really want to go back to basics. Like, why do you take the PTE exam? You take it either because you want to study abroad or because you want to migrate, so professionally seeking to work somewhere else. So
Right.
it's a very big change for people to do. So you really have to be prepared for this entire change. For example, if you're planning to study abroad, you really need to know when is the admission time, when do you need to provide the proof of your English score. So I think it goes down to proper planning. You need to have a backward plan. Basically, when you are planning to do this sort of big change in your life, and have a backward plan to the things you need to fulfill in order to achieve it. I think if this is done, this is what I hear honestly from a lot of test takers. Planning properly will really help you out in reducing the stress.
So what you're saying is there's kind of a model that you need to have in your brain, and it has to be one that actually helps you. And if you start at the end where you want to be in your life, then it's a better way of making that model rather than starting from the beginning, right? You're
Yeah.
starting from what needs to happen in here to get me to here, basically, right?
Exactly, like a framework. So basically, for example, you need to do the English exam, you need to do the visa processing, you need to do X, you need to do Y, and basically have timelines for each of these things you need to achieve so that you know when you are going to do everything. It's not just about, bear in mind, I speak to a lot of people who are looking to migrate, for example, to Australia from Egypt, from North Africa, for example. So it's not only about the English exam, they have so many prerequisites to this move that they need to take into consideration. So imagine the biggest part, the exam, you don't even know how to prepare, when to prepare, and so on. And you have all of the other things, like, at the back of your mind, always, like nagging you, you have to do this, you have to do that. So if right framework, is definitely something essential everyone needs to take into consideration.
Yeah,
What
that
you're
makes
saying,
perfect sense.
it could be conveyed like in one word for a test taker to remember. Think about the process, not about the
Yeah,
outcome. Yeah.
exactly.
So when you just visualize the outcome and all the good grades, etc., and you fail to create a mental image of a process which is required to get you there, this is not going to work. So the process, and one more time process that should be very visible, whether in the form of a plan or a mental image, but a very tangible process of very small steps needed to get you to the place where you want to be.
So when you say results, you're not talking about what, for example, Hen said is more about your goals in your life and the results of where you want to be as a person living
As a
abroad.
human
You're
being.
talking about I think, Bartek, exam results. I must get this score, for example. Is that what
Yeah.
you mean?
Yeah, but instead of saying like I must get this score, because which is obvious, you check the university requirement and you see the required level, and I need to be there. You need to create a mental image of the process that will
Right.
get you to this score. Okay, it's not only
Right.
about wishful thinking and being optimistic and very positive, saying like I'm gonna make it, I will
Yeah.
handle the situation. But think how you're gonna handle the situation, how you're gonna control your environment in the preparation time, because stress, exam stress, the biggest sector where you can control is the preparation time. This is that you can do almost 100%. When you are taking the test, you are already in the process. So the biggest amount of work that's possible to change is within the preparation time.
When you said that, I just picture someone waking up and realizing they're actually in the test and just realizing it. In the,
Luke, by the way, it does happen. I've spoke to so many people, you know, like they wake up literally one day and they remember they have to submit, you know, their exam in 48 hours maybe, and they're like, what do I need to do now? How do I do this? So it does happen, trust me. I've heard it so many times.
This ties into really, I think, what we need to focus on next. Now, before we do that, I just want to acknowledge that we have more people joining live. Thank you for joining. We are talking about the PTE. We're talking about how to do it worry-free. We're talking about managing test stress, and we have a lot of great stuff coming up. We're going to be going through all 4 sections and talking about tips to handle specific question types within those sections. So questions in the chat. Thank you for joining. Like and comment and all that stuff. I see we have people joining from Korea. We have more people keep joining from Facebook and YouTube and all over the place. Yes, sorry for bumping my mic, but let's do that. I like this clap. I've been doing this more actually recently. Yeah. Because it doesn't make a noise.
Yeah, it looks more chic, you know?
It does. It's cool. Okay, so we're going to, before we get into more of a Q&A from people in the chat, let's talk about, let's combine two questions, really. One question is, okay, we understand the causes. What you hinted at what we need to do, but maybe we can expand it a little bit. What are the best ways, in your experience, to reduce stress? I think, again, we've hinted at it, but let's build it out a little, and maybe then we could talk about some of the mistakes that you see. You talked about, Hen, just now. Someone realizes in 48 hours I have to take it. That's a mistake.
You
sure. Probably that's not the smartest move, although miracles happen. So yeah.
So let's get into let's explore a little bit, if we could, the things we can do about it.
Yeah.
Bartek, do you want to kick it off?
My experience, professional, private experience as a student, now as like a trainer, crisis counselor, is like one sentence, basically: get down to work. That's probably the most effective, but make it demanding for yourself. It means like put in the work to prepare effectively. But what do I mean is, people planning PTE academic, they usually know the admission date, as Hen mentioned. They usually know the requirements for the university, etc. And they say the 15th of September, the deadline, etc. And you can check the website way in advance. What I'm saying is that it's good if our audience would remember the phenomenon called planning fallacy. And there is a question to audience. Look, if they reply to my question, then please say it like...
Okay, yeah, pay attention. Bartek is asking a question to the chat, please.
Yeah, if you've ever done some renovation at your home, flat, room, etc., renovation like changing the colors, painting walls, whatever you were doing, can you share with us how long did it take in real, and what was your initial assumption before you actually started doing it? Like, what was the time you thought it would take, and what was the reality? Okay, if anyone in the comments, then please do share. Luke, or you can share your own example, and the same.
Oh, I mean, I have a million. I have a million of those. I mean, it's just I think it's the procrastination brain that thinks I'll be able to handle this. Don't worry, it'll be fine.
Yes.
And then that it takes so long, and this has been true for me for interviews in the past, like a job interview, doing research on the job and things like that. And I'm the day before realizing, oh, I don't actually know enough to do this. If I had done this, several weeks out, I would be much more comfortable.
Yeah, that's true. So I will share one story with one nice experiment. One of the researchers asked students, like there was a question, how long do you think it will take you to write your master thesis in the best case scenario and in the worst case scenario? And they were just noting the answers, and they said, like, in the best case scenario, it will take them around 28 days. The worst case scenario, it was around 46. And then the researchers said, okay, that's your assumption. And they waited because they had to write their master thesis anyway. And in reality, it took them more than 55 days to complete the project. So even way longer than the worst case scenario they thought at the very beginning. And this is the beauty
Wow.
of planning fallacy. There is a tendency to underestimate the amount of time, the amount of energy, the amount of grammar exercises, the amount of study time it will be required for me to accomplish something. And then half semester of halfway preparation, a test taker is likely to say, like, oh my God, I thought it's gonna take a lot shorter than I expected, but I'm not getting there, and the exam is just coming in a week time. It's like, what should I do? So the first element is like plan in advance, and a good starting rule, a very good and a safe rule, is like you assign 50% more of the resources you think it will be required from you. Like, for example, if you say it will be enough for me to prepare in 6 months time, and then you remember, oh, I attended a live webinar, he said something 50% more.
50. So that's a good number. Just remember the number 50. That's a good one. Yeah.
So
However
it's gonna
long.
be 9 months. Yeah.
Okay, wait. And you said it should be 50% more than worst case scenario?
Then the amount you think it will take you.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you say
Average,
6
probably.
months, so then 50% you add 3 months more, but this is just the very rough number to be like on the safe side. Yeah.
I'm writing this down. This is for me. I mean, this is great advice. Okay. Now, you did ask the question to the chat. By the way, we have a question. Ramandeep asks how to improve the repeat sentence. Wait, we're going to get to specifically repeat sentence. That's coming up, so we will answer that question. Let's see. We have one on a home project. Plan renovations for 3 months, but it took 1 year. So yeah, It's I think it's a human thing.
Yeah, it's even 50%. It's not enough, but at least it gives you a bit more.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to language and exam preparation, I would add more a bit deeper thing. Is like, know your level you are currently at. Be super
real with
knowledgeable.
yourself. Yeah.
Be very realistic about your current language level and about the language level expected from you when you look at the score. Because things are not happening by magic. Sometimes there is a very big difference between what you present right now and what you want to be in the next month. And sometimes it's not possible to be there the next month. I'm going to be like really super realistic about it.
I mean, you have to look at yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
So I think that ties into, Hend, again, you're talking to a lot of people firsthand in terms of preparation. I think what we're saying here is, hey, preparation is very important, and having planning for that preparation is equally important. What are you seeing when you're talking to test takers as a way to kind of handle the stress by preparing and being ready?
Look, honestly, preparation is the key. Like, no one can argue with this. And preparation, honestly, for PTE is quite feasible and doable. Let's be very accurate with the terminology. We have, even if anyone just goes on our website, you're gonna see for the PTE preparation, there are lots of resources there, whether they are free or even paid, honestly. And the free resources that are available on the website, there is a variety of things you can utilize. So it's really important for people to go on the website and snoop around, and see what's going on, what do they offer, what's out there, basically.
It's
And
amazing. So many great resources.
it is, yes, honestly, like yes, PTE is my baby, but I really want to say there is a lot of advantages that we do offer to our test takers, and something very important as well, like, because I speak to people on the ground in events, in activations, everything. So I've been working, for example, on a testimonial project for North Africa. People are really saying that the actual exam result is very close to the result they got on their score practice test.
Okay, so they're doing the
mm,
scored test, and it matched pretty
it
well.
like, I don't want to say like statistics, but it's really more than 95%
Wow.
close to accuracy, yes, of the number they actually got. So as Bartek was saying, you really have to be realistic where you are in terms of your English proficiency. You have to practice and prepare well and take the score practice test, for example. It will really show you where you are, and then it will save you a lot of hassle and effort. Because if your expectation is somewhere and reality from this practice test is somewhere else, you will be able to bridge the gap much easier than expected. And if it's not, it's very closely matching, then you are on the safe side. It will reduce the stress. So you really have to prepare well. Honestly, that's the key.
So, I mean, since you said that, just quickly, and then I'll go to you, Bartek,
Yeah.
and then we're going to move to the next part here. But what you're saying is the scored practice test. This is an actual test, actual
Resource.
in the sense that
yeah,
it's a great resource. You're getting a score.
Yes.
It's not official, but you're getting a score, and it's really accurate. We also have a comment here from Sachin, and saying that there tends not to be discounts on stuff on the practice material. Hold on.
There's a surprise coming. We promise.
Stick with it.
Things happen. Things
happen. Just wait. There may or may not be something really, really great that is limited time that will be happening at the closer to the end when we talk about the 4 sections. So stick around. Okay, stick around. Bartek, did you have a final comment or any other mistakes you want to hit on?
One of the best stress reduction strategy used in CBT therapies and anything, and you don't have to be the therapist, like offer yourself exposure to the real life event. And the scored practice test, take it in as if it was a real life scenario. There are several versions, and just put yourself in the simulated conditions. And this is when you teach your body, you teach your mind, is like what will follow next, the amount of time, you look the amount of questions. So offer yourself the exposure. One of the best things you can do in this preparation period when it comes to the stress reduction.
Great point.
Look,
now,
and something else to add very quickly, because maybe a part of the reason why test takers could feel stressed is because they feel like they will be doing this on their own. And I want to clarify something. We do have PTE partners everywhere. So these partners are out there to support the test takers. They give resources, extra materials, and so on as well. So if you feel like you cannot do this on your own, reach out to our partners. They will support you. So it's something really important to note, because I don't think many people know about it. So this is something that should be known for everyone.
Yeah. Great point. And I want to move on to the next section and get to a couple of questions. But Bartek, quick yes or no question. What about, we were just talking about mistakes, and one popped up that we didn't quite. What about memorizing answers? That's preparation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that preparing?
That's on the one side, I would say no, but I would say as a person within the educational system and the preparation period, it depends. if you solely rely on memorizing whatever the question type you're thinking, and I know because I've been in the chat forums in various trainings, sooner or later you are putting yourself in danger. The way I explain it to the test takers and people, when you memorize something, and imagine that you go to the university and you are sitting in front of the professor with an oral exam, and he's asking a question. If you've learned something by heart, it's that easy for a professor to notice that you are actually not replying to his question. You are just reciting a poem, and with simple extra question, he will knock you off balance, and it will be visible that actually you are not covering the theme. So the
Absolutely.
memorizing in the if you know how to do it, if you have a good mentor, for example, it could be useful for designing a structure like a scaffolding only.
Okay, so
But
memorize
what you
the.
put inside, it should be very, very flexible. You shouldn't be going for very rigid structures, because this is not what you want to present in PT Academic. This is not something you want to present in any performance you'll be doing in your life, because it will show
Absolutely.
you that you are not in the communication process. That's it.
Yep, makes sense.
Memorize,
Okay,
but be very cautious about it and be very flexible how to use it.
I just want to before we move on, because I want to be aware of time. We want to get to our sections. So let me just quickly, and so people have something that perhaps they could take a picture of. Go through just some of the highlights. We talked about that stress is normal, that you need to visualize where you want to be in your life and have a model or simulation in your head that actually works for you, to make a realistic study plan with a realistic amount of time. Bartek said 50% more than you think, and that's a good model. You need to really learn the test itself, how it works, the types of questions. We're going to get to that in a second. That's very important. Learn what you can expect. Now, there is a great resource here. There's a video that I can maybe put up on screen here. Feel free to just search this. What happens on PTE test day? You can look this up on the website. I believe you can also look it up on the Pearson YouTube channel or wherever. It's kind of everywhere. So check that out. It's a great resource to know what to expect. You have to really put in the work, to work hard, right? And practice under pressure. Put yourself in exam conditions so that on the day you feel ready and relaxed. Okay, now we're going to be moving on to question type tips. I just want everybody to be aware of the time. We're going to cover 4 question types in all 4 sections, and we're going to do a quick Q&A. So keep putting the questions in the chat, and then we have some special resources to share. So maybe I can bring in one quick question here. I'm gonna bring us back to our panel view, and we're gonna do that. So just one quick question I wanted to ask. Well, let's see if it's relevant. I think it's a matter of setting time when it comes to, this is from Emmanuel, when it comes to studying for the exam. Discipline is crucial too. Discipline seems like a very important part of the whole process, right? Being self-disciplined.
Very important. Playing a crucial role. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, what we can do now, keep putting the questions in. What we can do now is get into the speaking section, and we're going to be talking about a specific question type in the speaking section. Bartek, I wonder if you could give a very quick, just a
very quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very quick, because we're got to be sensitive about time here.
Yeah.
Overview of this question type here. Repeat sentence. What it is, and then we'll get into some tips for this one.
So follow the instruction, basically. So you'll hear a sentence, and please repeat the sentence exactly as you hear it. You have 15 seconds for it. This is the PT Academic question type speaking. You listen to the sentence, and you have to repeat the sentence exactly as you hear it, period. And the whole magic is within the instruction. Exactly as you hear it.
Yeah, okay. So I think that kind of opens up the question really, which is, those are the instructions. If I say, if you hear, I'm going to the movies tomorrow, then you just say that, right? What you hear, right?
Yeah.
Are there any ways to practice for this question, do you think? Hen or Bartek?
Yes. Or Hen, if you want to start.
Bartek, you're the guru.
No,
Guru,
I'm
please.
just
Floor is
excited about.
yours.
I'm just excited about it because it's fairly easy for a self learner to practice this repeat sentence. Take PT Academic is academic English. So you take simple story. You take mobile phone, Spotify. You search academic podcasts, biology, engineering. The more subjects, the better, because you offer variety. You listen to the podcast. When you listen, you play, pause, repeat, and you try to repeat the last sentence you hear. You can rewind it and you can listen to it again. That's one thing. The
So
second
podcast
thing,
that's difficult enough, I would assume, but not a native speaker's talking, probably.
Yeah, but this is like real life academic English. This is what you will hear there. The second option, you can get access to our official guide, and you'll have the question banks there. The question banks with all the question types. So you'll have examples of repeat sentence. You'll have a chance to listen, to record yourself, and you can compare it to the answer presented there, to compare it with the sample. So two very easy at the very beginning. And if you don't have podcasts, you can watch the recordings online. Just listen, make sure you can pause it, you can repeat the sentence, and you can check yourself whether this is the same intonation, the same speed, the same tone of voice, the same stress on the appropriate words. So this is for you. You have the ready-made pattern to compare yourself against.
And also make sure you don't give yourself a break when you're preparing. Don't do super easy ones that are simplified, and then the hard one on the exam itself. You want to really push yourself, challenge yourself. Okay, moving on. Well, if you have any questions about that specific, we're gonna hit that in the Q&A, but I want to go right through these. By the way, Hen, do you want to add anything to this one before we move to the second question type?
Okay. No, I know we're very time conscious, so go ahead.
We're time conscious. Bartek, take it away. Quick explanation of the fill in the blanks for the reading section.
You are given a text with blanks, and you've got words at the bottom, and your instruction is like to match the words in the appropriate gaps. So the instruction and the practice that I would suggest is like, first of all, you need to practice skimming within your preparation period. So learn how to read texts really quickly to get the general idea. Then the second option I would suggest, when you try to complete the blanks and you find some of the blanks challenging, just go further and tackle the next blank, and then come back to the most challenging ones once you finish the whole text, because you will limit the amount of words that are left at the very end. So don't get distracted that you cannot complete one. Just move next and then come back. And most important, don't leave empty spaces there. If you are totally not sure of your answer, just give a wild guess. There are no minus points there. This is the best you can do if you are totally at a loss. So the skimming, a good practice is like the speed reading as you go by. If you find it challenging, move to the next one and come back to the most challenging one, and pay attention to the whole context of the sentence and to the whole text that it's presented to you.
So there we want to, just make sure, number one, carefully read the instructions. Very important. And don't get stressed out by not knowing one thing, right? It's like, don't stop in the first 10%. You may know the rest, and you can come back to it maybe with more confidence, with a little boost of confidence because you knew the others, or a better idea since you've answered them. That's a really good point. I was once in an exam, and there was someone beside me. They had left some questions. There was no punishment for answering wrong. They left some questions totally blank. It was A, B, C, D, that type. They left some blank, and on some questions, I just glanced over. On some questions, they filled in multiple bubbles, like A and C. They were SQL answer questions, and some of them were totally blank. So I don't know what was going on there.
Probably better safe than sorry somehow.
I don't know. I just wanted
I
to
think, Luke,
go ahead, Hen,
sorry,
please. Yeah.
I really
No, please.
honestly think people shouldn't freeze in the exam. I think that's the most important thing. Even if the type of question you're not comfortable with, because bear in mind, we have all different exam preferences, okay? So no one exam is going to be 100% fit for you. So you have to be very flexible and have an open mind to some exam. Some questions could be uncomfortable. So don't freeze. As Bartek said, follow the instructions. And so with this exam type, there are two things or two styles. Some people could read the answers first and then skim the passage, and some can actually read the passage to understand the context and fill the words. So don't be stressed out which one is right, which one is wrong. Do what you're comfortable with as well, because it's very important to be natural in doing the exam so you can get the most out of the results.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. We do have a question for someone on the repeat sentence from Harshal. We're going to get to that in just a moment, but we're flying through these. I think we've got some great tips on our first two, right? On speaking and on reading. So now we're going to go to our writing section question. Bartek, are you ready for your very brief and concise explanation of this question?
I will do my best to be very brief.
Summarize written text.
Oh my God, summarize written text. Time, 10 minutes. You've got the text presented and you need to summarize the main points. Please remember, no more than 75 words and no less than 5 words. So this is the point to remember. So the text, you read the instruction, you read the text, and then your task is to summarize it in a single sentence, one complete sentence. Point to remember is like, don't memorize here and do not put in memorized scripts that you've learned, because you'll be in all likelihood off topic. So off topic means no points. Do your best to answer it naturally. Learn how to paraphrase. I would suggest, this is the advanced strategy, but it helped me a lot. It's like, learn how to paraphrase the things you read, then how to put it in different academic English words. So paraphrasing will do you quite a lot of good in the preparation period. And don't add any personal knowledge in this summary. Don't add any knowledge that is not present in the main text, using your own experience, because maybe you'll be familiar with the theme, etc., etc. You need to summarize what the text is telling you. And I've heard a nice story. Imagine that your friend hasn't seen the message and he or she will be able to see only your summary. Write this summary in a way that she will be fully competent about what the main message was.
Okay? May actually be a good way to practice, because yes. What makes a good summary? That's one thing. What is the criteria for a good summary? Well, one is, let's say you have a practice partner, you do a summary, you have an agreement, we're both working on PTE or something, yeah. You send it to them and say, hey, do you get this? Do you think this is good? Just getting that feedback loop going can be very useful. Very useful. True. All right, we're going to hit the last one just because I want to be aware of time, because I want to make sure we get to a couple questions here. And so we're going to go right to number 4, section 4, listening. Select the missing word. Now, yes. for the speaking section, there's a listening component because you have to hear what was said to repeat the sentence. But this is a little bit more in-depth, right?
Yeah. So you listen to a recording, and then you'll need to, at some point, the recording ends with a beep, and you need to select the appropriate phrase that will go on right after the beep. So this is the, in short, the instruction.
Okay, now question then. What about, okay, you mentioned podcasts are a good way to practice for the listening part of the speaking section.
Yeah, in general.
Yeah. What about watching movies for the listening section?
In general, yes, on condition, please remember, general English, academic English, but you can benefit from movies, because you can predict, you can watch a movie, you observe the context, you try to predict what's gonna happen from the context. You can pause and try to predict what the main actor is gonna say and just have fun with
I
it,
like that.
because it's all about predicting. And of course, you can get transcripts if possible online. You can work with vocabulary, but general, expose yourself to this real academic English. So it could be a documentary. So it's gonna be benefit.
What is
And
David
benefit.
Attenborough about to say?
Yes, that's true.
I think he's usually about to say, "Here we have," or something like that.
Yes, that's true.
But okay,
Going
Hen,
down to the yeah.
anything to add there, Hen, on the on this question type?
Actually, no, I think Bartek's advices are very helpful. Like, I honestly never knew like podcasts could be something that you would be helping your skill with. So, no, nothing honestly added from my side.
And I need to
Go ahead.
say it, like, when you're taking this question type, listen to the very end. Don't get tricked that you hear something at the very beginning of the recording and you look at the options like
Yes.
Oh, they are talking about jokes, so the jokes will be the right answer. Listen till the very end, because usually things happen at the very end. The same as
I think basically don't assume.
Yeah.
Avoid assuming in exams, like just
Absolutely.
listen, be very unbiased. So just avoid assumptions.
Yeah, and for the podcast thing, it can be a great tool, but you have to listen in the right way. You can't just sort of veg out and listen, as Bartek said, pause and listen. Okay, so a couple of questions that I would like to touch on. We're going to go to just a couple here, and then, as I mentioned, we have some great resources to share with you. So please do stick around. We have a special offer as well, which is good. It's really going to help you prepare and reduce your stress for the PTE. Okay, so questions. In repeat sentence, let's, if we could try to keep the answers, concise and short.
Sure.
From Harshal, hello. In repeat sentence, can we repeat our sentence after 3 or 4 seconds, hold, because I need to memorize that sentence in my mind, and then speak?
No, start speaking immediately when the mic opens, period.
Got it. Period. So as soon as the mic opens, start talking.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're going to get cut off, and it's not going to count.
And you can lose 15 seconds if you start thinking about memorizing, etc., etc. So
and you might forget one part of it.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Azam AB says, I always out of time. Could you please give me some tips? So always feeling like I'm running out of time when you take it, from Azam. Time management, I guess, really is the question there. Not having good time management.
This is like change the preparation period. Like, spend more time on managing time effectively, like depending on the question time, the speed reading, the reading for gists. Just be fully aware of the time expected on the PT Academic. Also, like a listening and reading section, they have general time given, not per question type. So make sure you fit within this time question doing the scored practice test, for example. So
I was going to say this exactly.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you have any sort of personal feedback from anyone on that hand on I did this and that helped me with my time management? Yeah.
Honestly, the question bank or the questionnaire bank that we have and the score practice test, because it mimics the actual exam. So people they start understanding the type of questions, how long it takes them to answer them. And we do have a variety of bundles even on our website that you can purchase a couple of practice tests, not just one. So the more you do, I think the better you will understand and the more efficient you'll be able to manage the time.
Yeah, fantastic. Let's do another question. And I apologize if we're not getting to all the questions, but there are a lot. So we're trying to balance what we can provide, what we can talk about, and get to questions. But I would say, if you asked a question and it didn't get answered, guess what? We're doing these every month. So come back for the next one. Get your question ready to go. We are working on the format to make sure we can balance time and have. So be patient with us. We're doing our best to make sure that we can give you the really good material to perform well on the
Yeah.
PTE. Last question here, then. Civil engineer info. I think that's the name. Why Pearson not provided the practice app and material officially? Like a puny. I don't know how to say that. Officially. This is one question here we have.
If I get it right, I'm not sure, but if I get it right, like all the official resources are on our official website. So
Yeah.
potential test taker, student, you get in there, you just find what we've prepared, and this is like Pearson one. Of course, we know that externally there are different agents, as Hen you mentioned, they are of great support for the test takers, etc. But when you choose something external, please make sure you do your best to be fully aware that it's of the highest possible quality. Research the market, and when just make sure that this is of the highest standard, because this is external and we cannot know.
That's an excellent point. Yeah. And it could be because you could be in a hit or miss situation. Maybe someone does a great job, maybe not, but how do you know? But if it's official, official resources, then you have you feel confident knowing, oh, I'm actually preparing for the real thing here with the real resources. So speaking of that, I had mentioned that we have something to offer today. So first of all, thanks for the great questions, and thanks again to Bartek and Hen for all the great insights, the great answers. I think the one sort of key takeaway from today's session is the importance of preparing, and preparing in the right way, right? Preparing well really is the best way to reduce stress. Now, there are two great ways to do that. We've mentioned it kind of throughout. The first is the Pearson scored practice test, and it may be the best way to really get familiar with the test, learn how to manage your time, find areas to improve, and get a full score breakdown. And Hen mentioned earlier that my actual score, my official score was 95% accurate, or above 95% accurate to my real score, right, or my practice score. So very, very accurate practice tests. The scored practice test is really, really powerful. The other one that we have is the PTE Academic Question Bank, which we also talked about. This has 300 academic, authentic questions with model answers and full explanations. And it's a great way to really get the feeling for the test and improve your performance. Now, as an exclusive offer, you can get 10% off, a 10% discount applied at checkout with the special code. The code is PTE Live 10. So you can look in the chat. There should be links in the chat right now. Check those out. At checkout, if you want to take both the question bank or the scored test, apply the code PTE Live 10 at checkout, and just be aware that does expire. So if you're preparing for the PTE or you're planning to start preparing soon, these are essential official resources. Again, click the links in the chat, check out both the scored practice test and the academic question bank, and use the code PTE Live 10. It's all one word. And I think it needs to be caps like that, but I would do it as caps anyway. I'm not sure if we can do lowercase. I'm actually not totally sure on that, but put it in just like you see it, basically. Okay, so again, I would like to thank both of you for being here. Great insights. Really appreciate all of the tips and strategies. I look forward to doing the next one. I think it's going to be as we do these, kind of a building experience where next time we're talking about a topic that's going to be really relevant to test takers, that's kind of adding to the stress component. right? So stay tuned for future sessions that we're going to do. Now, what have we talked about today? Well, I think we've said that stress is normal, but it can be reduced a lot. To do that, you need to feel and be ready, right? To do that, you need to be well prepared, and that means having a realistic plan. It means learning the exam questions, right? The format. It means practicing a lot and in the right ways with the right resources, right? You put in the work when you prepare so that on test day, you can do it worry-free, which is how it's supposed to be. So again, thank you all so much for joining. Thank you for all your questions and comments. Thank you again to Hen and Bartek. If we didn't get to your question, join us next time. We will do our best. Feedback is welcome. Like, comment, subscribe, share, follow, all of that stuff. Next time, we're going to be talking about growing your confidence, which I think is going to be a great topic. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of the week. Again, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next one.